welcome. Love that you all are here. Very excited for tonight's message, and I want to start by acknowledging something very simple, very upfront, which I kind of do this sometimes, but basically the fact that you're here is the most important thing. There's so many other things you could be doing, and when you are trying to grow in your faith, God, you don't need anything more than this. You don't need anything more than yourself in your room. You don't need a band, you don't need lights, you don't need a stage. All you need is your honesty and time with God. And that's all He needs from you. He just wants you. He doesn't want you to be on fire now, and then Monday comes and, it's Monday, so it has to be this way, or Tuesday comes and I have this thing going on, so I just have to be. No, it can always be that. Not perfect, but you can always have that constant with God. Now, I do have a question. How many of you, when you were younger, you weren't the normal person who just walked down the steps 1 foot at a time? Am I the only one here? Did anybody go down the steps in any sort of creative way? Whether it's an inflatable bed, whether it's backflipping down, or whether it's, we're in church, so God knows if you're lying, but raise your hand if you've ever belly slid down the steps. Yeah? Thank you. Honestly, I should have brought a step prop, so we can all do that, but that reminds me of a time when my parents would go out on date night, my brothers and I. We had these old hockey jerseys. Yeah, for 4 years, I played roller hockey. So envision that if you're ever bored and you want to laugh. We had these very weird penny kind of jerseys. They were very slippery. And so we would, like Jordan, we would take all the mattresses out of our room into our basement. We would stack up these piles of pillows. It has nothing to do with the message. I need to get this off my chest. Bunch of pillows. We would stack the mattresses up one way, down the other, and we would basically run all the way across, leap, and then just jump and slide down. It was the best thing ever. Now I know what I'm doing next time Kelsey's working. So thanks for the inspiration. But I have awkwardly narrow and long feet, so when I go down the steps, I kind of have to go like this, because these steps are perfect. I fit, okay? My steps at home, I either have to go like this, like sideways and walk awkward like a duck, or I have to literally go like this, or I can just be a monkey and just grip the ends of my toes, and 90% of the time, if no one's around, that's what I do. And I do a couple of these every now and then. But you're good, it's no goose out of me. But basically, have you ever felt the feeling of just slightly missing a stair? And you feel it through every single hair follicle on your body, like the world is ending. Have you gotten that jolt of adrenaline before? You're missing that step. Maybe you're on the bottom step, and you're just you miss it, and you feel that jolt. You automatically have that fear. Well, sometimes I think some of this, not sometimes, but I remember distinctly this past year, Kelsey and I bought a house, and I was walking down. I had a 3-story apartment that I lived on the 3rd floor, and I was carrying these boxes, and I got used to the timing and the distance of each step. When the turn, I miscounted. I was holding boxes I couldn't see, and I was walking down the steps blind, and nothing is more scary than that. But sometimes I feel like life can be that. Life can be you walking down the steps blind, going with what you know, going with what you've experienced before, going with what you hope that step is still there, and then you can't see, but you're just walking blindly. Hopefully it works out, but sometimes it's just so scary. Life can genuinely be so scary. Maybe we feel like God's left us in the dark. Maybe we feel like we're left on our own, like God doesn't care about us anymore. And I want to, rhetorically, but more importantly, I want you to think about this. When has life been the most dark for you? When has life been the most dark for you? Maybe it's been this past year. Maybe you encountered a new version of yourself that you didn't know existed. Maybe you're growing into that person. Maybe life is most dark for you the moment you leave this place and you have to go back to what you're afraid of. Whether it's a family situation, whether it's a relational situation, or whether it's an internal situation. I want you to answer it for yourself. When is life most dark for you? A couple weeks ago, we started this incredible series called Responsible, and it's on the 7 statements used by Jesus in the book of John. All in the book of John, all starting with the phrase, I am. This is known throughout youth groups, like Bible studies, the 7 I am statements, and we're going over those. And I want to give you a quick recap of the first 4 weeks. The first one was, I am the resurrection and the life. Week 2, I am the gate and the good shepherd. Week 3, I'm the bread of life. And last week, we talked about Jesus saying, I'm the true vine and you being the branches. And if you missed any of these, they're all on our YouTube page. Shameless plug, shout out, go check it out. CCB HSM and CCB 678. They're up there. Watch it, share it. It's great. This week, we're going to look at one of my favorite and one of the most telling and encouraging I am statements from Jesus. And as always, context is super important. So before I tell you the statement, I actually want to set the scene. Because Jesus was growing into this person publicly and socially. He was starting to break social and spiritual barriers when he began introducing this connection between God and grace. And I want you to imagine this. He was introducing God not as this law-abiding person who was just ready to throw lightning bolts at whoever sinned, whoever cussed, whoever did anything bad. Jesus was starting to say, yes, God is just and he cares about right and wrong, but he also loves you. He was introducing grace and mercy and love. But the only thing that these people were hearing were from the people called Pharisees, and they were more focused on right and wrong. But as I said, Jesus wants people to know that God's grace is bigger than our biggest mistake, bigger than our behavior, which, again, doesn't give you permission to just do whatever you want, but it gives us a place to turn and grow when we know we've done something wrong. So the main scene is here. It's in John 8, and this is one of my favorite, not like fictional stories way back when. This is one of my favorite interactions of Jesus and humanity. Like, it's just incredible. This is John 8. The scene is that Jesus is teaching peacefully, like me, like this. In this setting, Jesus is talking to people. And the Pharisees, physically, I want you to imagine 4 or 5 old, disgusting, scraggly Dumbledores busting through that door, dragging this woman who was physically caught in the act of adultery. Okay, she was sleeping around looking a mess. Sorry, not good. Good. And this is the scene. This is what they say to Jesus. People who drag her. John 8, 4-5. Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. Now, in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now, what do you say? And when they say stone such women, they genuinely mean that. They would dig a hole from your bottom of your feet to your neck, leave your head out, go and have a pile of stones. That's what the Pharisees promoted as God responding to your actions if you were wrong. That's all they knew. Jesus was introducing grace, okay? Now, this woman was caught literally red-handed. There's no denying it. Have you ever been caught genuinely red-handed? Like, you thought about lying for a second, but you just know there's no way out. Like, absolutely at all. Little nod, no nod, have you been caught? You're perfect angels. Well, in 4th grade, not that I have a grudge or anything, in 4th grade, I remember so distinctly that Miss Carswell, not Chriswell, Miss Carswell, she was lovely. She was an angel. I thought I was her favorite student because I tried to leverage that any way I could. I really had to go to the bathroom. And when a 4-year-old, 4th grade boy needs to go to the bathroom, it's not a plea for help. It's either this seat's going to get it or the toilet is, so make your decision. So I was rushing to the bathroom, and I walked into the boys' bathroom, 4th grade. I remember just like it was yesterday. I don't have nightmares anymore. I just go to therapy for it. But I walked into the boys' bathroom, and I just need you to trust me. I walk in the boys' bathroom. No one's in there, but there's a heaping pile of stuff on the floor. Like, genuinely. And it's still warm. Don't ask me how I know. I'm a curious 4th grade boy. But there's a heaping pile of stuff on the floor. And so I walk back out to the hallway. I'm like, boys' bathroom? I have to go. If I walk out of there after having gone, there's going to be an association there. Let me check the girls' bathroom. And so I go into the girls' bathroom, give a little knock, and I take like 10 minutes just to walk around because you guys have such nice bathrooms. I walked into a carpeted girls' bathroom one time, and I almost wanted to hang out there because I had to go knock because I was curious. Anyway, I walk to the girls' bathroom. No one's in there. I walk back into the hallway. No one's in sight. So I go to the girls' bathroom. I do my thing, and I come out, and the principal is walking by. Pete, what are you doing? I don't say nothing. I don't say, go to the bathroom, I say, I didn't do it. Principal, very smart, says, what didn't you do? I said, whatever I could possibly be in trouble for. And so I tell them about, the huge pile of stuff in the boys' bathroom. But in that moment, nothing I said was right. Nothing I said could have gotten me out of trouble because I was caught. I didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but I was stuck in this moment. And these Pharisees are asking Jesus, what do you say we do? This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to stone her, we're supposed to mess her up, we're supposed to kill her because of her actions. And they're saying, Jesus, what do you say? Because the woman can't say anything. She's caught red-handed. So they're trying to trick Jesus. And what he says, what he does is incredible. Either way, this is an incredibly dark situation. Jesus has a decision to make. And in this woman's dark mistakes in lifestyle, she doesn't see a way out as she is currently faced with the guilt of her past and her current mistakes. I want to be very vulnerable and honest with you. There are few places in your life ever more darkening or depressing than guilt and shame. Sometimes it does not take other people to put us in our place. Sometimes it just takes our own thoughts, our own shame, our own regrets, our own guilts. That darkness is so real. I know this woman felt that. And what's so mind-blowing is that Jesus, of all people, even he understood in that moment how dark of a place like that can be, which is why I love what he does next. Check this out, these next 3 slides. Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. Now, in the law, Moses commands us to stone such women. Now, what do you say? So, Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. And when they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. Again, he stooped down and he wrote on the ground. And at this, those who heard began to go away one at a time. The older ones first until only Jesus was left. With the woman still standing there, Jesus straightened up and asked her, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? No one, sir, she said. Then neither do I condemn you, Jesus declared. Go now and leave your life of sin. And it was after that insane display of grace that as Jesus is standing before more Pharisees and defending who he is and why he does what he does, he says this statement, John 8:12, which I want you to take note of. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Now this second I am statement, I want you to realize, it's about being the light of the world. It didn't just sound nice or roll off the tongue well. Jesus being the light of the world, it introduced God as someone who could be the light to anyone who felt like they were going through a dark time, anyone who was struggling. And if you're a teenager in 2021, I don't have to ask you if you can relate to that. Jesus brought hope to that woman. He brought life to her life. Jesus brought love and inclusion, something that was completely new to her, that she didn't have to fight for, she didn't have to earn it. And when you're truly in a dark place, but you come before Jesus, he can and had and will be that for you. One of my takeaways for you this week, with Jesus being the light of the world, is this. And I want you to think about this. Even in your darkness, whatever that looks like, even in your darkness, you can have direction. Even in your darkness, you can have direction. And I want you to think about that. Just because the lights start to dim, just because situations start to become more difficult, things become more tense, you become more uncertain in your faith, when darkness seems to settle, you can still have direction because you know who is fighting for you, you know who loves you, and you know you can trust him. Even when you don't know what to do or how to approach the situation. Jesus is saying, I'm the light of the world. I love that someone else wrote thousands of years ago, before that in the Bible, it's Psalm 119, 105. It says, your word is a lamp for my feet, a light unto my path. And when you read that, I don't want you to say, okay, that kind of correlates, I can see why you would put that there. The word, like the Bible, the physical word of God, when you look at your screen time on other things, like that's the light, like one, physically, that's the light that's lighting up your room, probably when it's so late at night, that's all you're scrolling. But when you're reading the Bible, that it's saying it is the light on my path. Your word is a lamp on my feet It is literally God's nature to guide you every step of the way. To guide you, to be there for you, to show you the way. I'll never forget when I was in college, I graduated with a ministry degree, sort of worked out, but no one was hiring. No one was hiring. PA had never sounded any more tempting than it does today. I didn't know what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, and so I called my buddy David, and I just started like full. I'm like, who do you know? Give me my resume. Do you need a roommate? Like, let's do something. I was freaking about my future, and I didn't know what was going on. Now, the thing about going to school in Tennessee is that when I was in Milligan, it was a 3-hour drive from my house to Milligan, and we had to go through Boone, North Carolina. Boone is a very windy road. It's beautiful, beautiful mountains. But you physically cannot go faster than 42 miles an hour until your 4-wheel car goes on 2, and you're just a little too close to the edge. But you're on mountains, and you're loving the scenery. And I was calling my friend at night, and I'm complaining to him, I'm asking him, what do I do? And all he asked me was, how bright are your headlights? I'm like, what? Are you on crack right now? Are you listening to me? What are you talking about? He said, I know the route you're going. I know where you're driving. How bright are your headlights? I'm like, they're like 50, 75 feet. Ace Hardware. Do you want the model number? And he went into explaining to me that the headlights that I'm currently using for my car in my situation will not help me 2 miles down the road. They will not help me a mile down the road, 500 yards, 400 yards, 300 yards. I only need my headlights at night for the next 150 feet or so. I just need it for the next turn, for the next turn, for the next turn. And when you're in an incredibly dark, uncertain situation, fear can come, stress can come, uncertainty can weigh you down if you let it. Or you can trust God's word being a light and a lamp to your feet and know that you have the next step. Maybe not the next mile, the next major decision, but you have the next step where God can lead you. It is in His nature to lead you, to guide you, and to love you. And what I love so much about the Bible and about who Jesus is that in another book, after Jesus performs this incredible act of grace, and He says, I'm the light of the world, I'm the light of the world, put up Matthew 5:14, He looks at the people and He says, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Jesus is all. If you remember the vine and the branches talk last week, what did Jesus say? I'm the vine, God's the gardener. I'm the vine, God's the gardener. I'm the vine, you're the branches. I'm the light of the world, I'm the light of the world, you're the light of the world. Jesus is physically, literally, metaphorically translating this relationship for us, showing us the connection, showing us how intimate it was meant to be, and how, if we give Jesus 30 seconds of our day, we will have that amount percentage of hope in Him. But if you let Him be the feet that you actually focus on, if you give Him the time of your heart and your soul and you actually dedicate it to Him, darkness and uncertainty will come, but the peace that you have to walk through those next steps are like nothing else. And that's what He wants you to understand about the relationship that you can have with Him, that He wants for you. Carly and Robbie are going to come sing a song about that, about who Jesus is to and for you. And again, if there's anything I could say, is I don't want this to sound nice. I want this to sound like something you can trust in and hope in and genuinely take that next step in when it comes to Jesus being the light of your world. Let's pray.